Good morning. My name is Steve Seek, and I'm honored to serve as your ministerial intern. Welcome to our multi-generational service on this New Year's Eve morning. I should tell you I have a cold today. I will do what I can with what I have, which isn't much. And that's okay. Our opening reading is a poem by Mary Oliver, Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I'll tell you about mine. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. Our opening hymn is number 128 in the gray hymnal, For All That Is Our Life. Will you please rise and body your spirit? This is a story by Scott Bloom, which I've adapted today. I used to study with a wise teacher. Tonight's assignment is to make 2 lists, the teacher said. The first list is of all the New Year's resolutions you want to keep. And the second, you're picking up on it, is a list of all the New Year's resolutions you will keep. So write the want list first, and when you've exhausted all of your ideas, write the second list on another sheet of paper. I wonder what you would put on your lists. Well, that night I went home and spent several hours working on the two lists. The want list felt overwhelming at first, but after a while I got into it, and writing all the things I'd always wanted to do if life hadn't gotten in the way. After nearly an hour, the list swelled to fill the entire page and contained nearly all my ideas for an ideal life. The second list was much easier. I was able to quickly commit to 10 practical resolutions that I felt would be realistic and helpful. As it happens, the next day I ran into the teacher outside the grocery store. "Let me see the list of the things you will do," he said. So I handed him the second list, and without even looking at it, he ripped the paper into pieces and threw it in the trash. Why do you think he did that? How would you feel? Well, his disregard for the effort I'd put in kind of annoyed me. But after I calmed down, I began to think about the first list, what I want to do, in a different light. In my heart, I knew the second list, what I will do, was something of a cop-out. And the first list was the only one that really mattered. And now, let me see the list of what you want to do. He held out both of his hands. So I very purposefully handed him the first list and held his gaze for several seconds, waiting for him to read the page. What do you think he did? After an awkwardly long silence, he slowly crumpled the page up into a ball and threw it in the trash. "What did you do that for?" I finally lost it. He began to speak in a quiet and assured manner. What you should do, what you could do, none of that matters anymore. The only thing that matters from this day forward is what you must do. He then drew a folded piece of paper from his back pocket and handed it to me. What do you think it said? Well, I opened it very carefully and found a single word floating in the middle of the page. Love. First Church, I am so sorry to share with you the news of a death in our congregation. Janet Fitch died peacefully and without pain at Frodert Hospital early on the morning of Wednesday, December 20th, 2023. Janet had had a stroke on Sunday, December 17th, and her family was able to gather and have some meaningful time with her in the days before she died. She had been in treatment for cancer since late October. Memorial service information will be forthcoming. Janet was 77 years old and had been a member of our congregation since 2005. It is our tradition in this congregation to light our candle of life for births, adoptions, or deaths among our members. Today, we light our candle of life in honor of Janet Fitch. We're going to enter a time of meditation now, followed by silence, followed by the seated singing of Spirit of Life, number 123 in the hymnal. Please join. The oak tree, which is 80% water, does not freeze in winter. Instead, the oak's cell membranes become pliable. They give up on holding the water and they let it pass in and out. The oak doesn't freeze, it lets go. In this world, with so much violence, we do not need to hold onto violence. We can choose peace. In this world with so much anger, we do not have to hold onto anger. We can choose forgiveness. In this world with so much anxiety, we do not have to hold onto anxiety. We can choose compassion. May it be so.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee. I'm Liz Irwin Moore, and I'm pleased to serve as your worship associate this morning. We welcome people of all genders, sexualities, ages, races, ethnicities, histories, and bodies. We welcome your mind, your heart, and your spirit. We welcome all you are carrying with you today and all your heart longs to set down. We welcome all the people watching online as we live stream this service. Hello, online people. We especially welcome any guests who may be joining us today. If you are a guest, we invite you to fill out a welcome card, which you'll find located in the pew rack in front of you, and drop it in the offering plate that will come around in a few minutes. Please join us for a social hour after the service across the hall in the Leanhouse Common Room. Some notes regarding accessibility. You can find hearing assist devices and large print hymnals and orders of service at the back of the sanctuary, as well as worship activity bags for children and anyone else who wants one. There's a fragrance-free area in the front right pews this way. And if you're watching online, you can enable YouTube's closed captioning on your viewing device. Our Defend Democracy team invites you to meet our democracy and voter engagement partners upstairs in Max Otto Hall next Sunday, January 7th, from 12:30 to 1:45. See the announcement in your order of service, or see our Defend Democracy team at the social justice table in coffee hour. Now I invite you to join me in a unison affirmation of our mission, which is printed in your order of service. We gather to nurture the spirit, engage the mind, and inspire action. Each week, we have an opportunity to practice our values through sharing our resources. Our pledges are at the core of our spiritual practice of generosity. In addition, the church shares half of all the non-pledge cash in our offering plate with a community organization, practicing our value of interdependence. Today, we share the plate with just one more ministry. The offering will now be gratefully received. Please remain seated as we sing together our offering hymn, number 55, Dark of Winter. Prompted by the approach of the new year and the common practice of New Year's resolutions, I've been thinking about the mystery of how we change. This should be an easy topic for me. I was a psychotherapist for 20 years. I do know quite a lot about helping people change, make it safe, create hope, explore what may be lost with change as well as what might be gained, suggest a different story, teach skills, talk about possibilities, listen and reflect, notice the baby steps, predict backsliding, applaud progress. But still, even with all this, change remains a mystery. I could do all of this well, and a client might remain stuck in their pain, in their unproductive ways of approaching life and its challenges. Yet other times, a person might pick up on a fragment from our conversation, and something would appear to just click into place for them. They'd do the equivalent of moving from long division to calculus in a few short weeks. I learned that the relationship between how well I did my job as a therapist and how well my client did was not direct. Sometimes people make changes with only a little help, and sometimes people don't change much, even with a lot of help. Change can be intentional. We set a goal and take steps to pursue it. We make a decision and act on it. Some change is not intentional. It can be the result of normal growing up or growing old. Some changes set in motion by life events we didn't choose, like serious illness, accidents, divorce, getting fired, or the death of a loved one. Since today's focus is on resolutions, we're most interested in the changes that we choose. In my own life, I think intentional change has been prompted by a combination of opportunity, perspective, and the uncomfortable awareness that my actions were not in line with my values. Here are a couple of examples. The first one has to do with perspective. I lived for 30 years in a lovely home in Shorewood with my husband, Bob, who lived there even longer than I did. We loved the community and our neighborhood. Between us, we raised 6 kids there. We had a big yard, lots of gardens, a deck with a picnic table, a 2-car garage, 2 cats and a dog. But it was a corner lot on a hill, and cutting grass and shoveling snow were becoming burdensome. In 2014, our youngest daughter and her 3-year-old were living there with us. I had some awareness. I could see that the time was coming when we would need to downsize. But I was coasting, waiting for my husband and daughter to be ready to make a change. Then Bob and I took a vacation to Florida and South Carolina. In the 2 weeks we were away, my perspective changed. None of us were getting younger. We needed to act, and I realized that I needed to be the one to take the initiative. When we got home, I called a realtor, and then told my husband and daughter that the realtor would be coming over in a few days to tell us what we needed to do to get the house ready to go on the market. My moment of clarity changed my perspective, and I put the process in motion. We decluttered, painted, upgraded, decluttered, painted, got the 6 grown kids to claim their stuff, decluttered, painted, took numerous trips to Goodwill and the dump and a storage locker, decluttered and painted some more. After 18 months, we moved to the condo where we live now. Awareness plus perspective created the action which led to change. My other example has to do with how my behavior aligns or doesn't align with my values. When I was 25, I was in graduate school learning to become a social worker. I had moved to Milwaukee from home on the East Coast to do this. I liked it here. I liked how much sky you can see here compared to the hillier, more wooded places I'd lived before. I liked the slower pace of life in the Midwest. A Milwaukee rush hour was laughable to someone who had navigated downtown Boston, I-95, and the Long Island Expressway. I had made good friends easily. I felt good about job prospects once I got my degree. There were areas of my life where I felt stuck. I mostly ignored them and focused on what was going well. So awareness, not so much. As the months went on, that got harder. One day, an opportunity presented itself. A friend told me and my roommate that she was in therapy and that it was really helpful. She left us the name and number of her therapist. Here's where it gets interesting. Only once I had that name and number did this thought come to mind. If I'm going to spend my career helping other people change, then I'd better address the things in my own life that need to change. In retrospect, duh. My behavior was out of sync with the values I was learning and adopting as a graduate student. I called and made an appointment, and that was one of the best things I've ever done for myself. My dim but growing awareness of a values conflict just needed the right opportunity to shine a light on it and guide me into taking action. So I actually don't make New Year's resolutions anymore. When I want to make a change, whether it relates to my health or where I live or anything else, I've learned to trust that awareness, perspective, and opportunity will, in some mysterious way, come together as the fuel for change.
things in time, if not today, if not tomorrow, then all things in time we can't predict what comes to pass. All we control is how we react and how we recover. Something like faith deep in our skin, everything in its time. All things in time, some things come quick, some things come easy, but all things will come, given the chance, given the room. I can't decide the length of a day, the depth of an ocean. I just decide what to explore. Maybe it's just wanting it more, want it enough, want to begin everything in its time. Thank you, Alyssa. Happy New Year's. This year, 2023, ends tonight. Yeah, yay! What a perfect time to imagine the future. What will 2024 be like? What will we be like in 2024? Do we want to keep being who we were last year, or is there something about us that we want to change? In this particular moment, New Year's Eve, it's normal to check in with ourselves. Should I be paying more attention in math? Am I getting too angry at home? Should I be more patient with other people when I'm shopping? Should I be eating or exercising differently? You know, most people like to make a New Year's resolution. Now, for the youngest members today, I would describe a New Year's resolution as a promise you make to yourself about how you will behave next year. Like, I promise I'll listen to my teacher more next year. I wonder if anyone here has a New Year's resolution. We know Liz doesn't. Take a moment, if you do, and share it with folks next to you if you want. I'll give you a sec. And we're back. All right. So resolution, I looked it up. Resolution means two things. Mostly it means a firm decision to do or not do something. For example, I resolve to clean the living room, or I resolve to eat less candy. But resolution also implies a quality of firmness, of not budging on your promise. So if I say, I resolve to clean the living room, it means nothing is going to stop me from cleaning that living room. Resolution doesn't mean, I'll clean it when I feel like it, or I'll clean the living room as long as it doesn't conflict with something else. It means I'm cleaning this living room. That's what's hilarious to me. We tend to use the word resolution when what we mean is intention. The word that's most firm, we use the most squishy. Like, oh, it would be better if. Think about it globally. We've seen over and over how leaders of the world will gather together and sign an international resolution. Like, we resolve to use less fossil fuels. And then they don't. Or they do, and then the next president gets elected and says, I don't want to. If you look at home, you might have said last year, I resolved to eat less candy. And then like 5 or 6 days later, you start thinking to yourself, you know what tastes really good? Candy. But New Year's Eve comes to us when it's cold and it's dark out, right? The trees, the birds, the rabbits, the fish, they're all slowing down. Even the sun appears to be taking a few weeks off. The world gathers itself, hunkers down for a bit, and we use this moment to check in with ourselves. Where am I right now, and does this fit with who I want to be? In that spirit, I'd like to do an activity with you to help us explore who we are and who we want to be. In your order of service, you should find a half sheet of paper, and there should be pens and pencils in each pew. So please take a moment to get a pen or pencil. If you're online, I will describe this activity to you. You'll just need a piece of paper. And it's okay if you just want to vibe it right now and do the activity later. You have a half sheet of paper that's a Venn diagram of 3 circles. The circle on the left says, my love, my love. So we're taking a moment to think about activities or skills that you love to do, activities that bring you joy. Do you love writing, moving your body, making music or art, talking to people, building stuff, cooking, gardening, being out in the woods? What brings you joy? In that circle, write just a few things, the things that leap to your mind right now. If you don't like writing, you can draw them or share with a friend. Take a moment to write 1 or 2 things that you love to do. We'll go on to the next circle. It's okay if you didn't finish. I'm not collecting these and grading them. Or am I? The next circle says our values. We have awesome values as Unitarian Universalists. We value seeing everyone as inherently worthy, making sure that everyone is treated fairly and kindly, encouraging one another to grow, having the freedom to find your own path, democracy in action, world peace, the interconnected web of life, justice and equity. Those are values that you can find in your hymnal about 6 pages in, right? That's our UU values. Maybe when we talk about values, you're thinking about something else, like helping people who are pushed down by society, which fits within those. I invite you to write a value that speaks to you right now, a value from our Unitarian Universalist heritage that speaks to you. Or if you don't want to write out the whole thing, just a few key words: justice, compassion, equity. Or draw it. The third circle in your Venn diagram says help wanted. The world needs a lot of help, yeah. What among the world's many needs leaps out for you in this moment? Is it free and fair elections? Is it more kindness to one another? Is it saving our fragile ecosystems? Is it housing and food support for all? What arises in your heart in this moment as a place where the world needs help? Write that in that circle. This is hard. You're doing great. No one's gotten up and left yet. So we have these 3 circles: what you love, what we value, and what the world needs. And maybe, just maybe, they overlap. Maybe there's something in the center of those 3 circles. What's at the center on your piece of paper? That's $1 million question. I'm asking us to think about what we feel called to do in 2024. And gosh, is that a different conversation than what you resolve to do, like eat less candy? There was a theologian named Frederick Buechner, and he said that you know what you're called to do when you find the place where our deep gladness meets the world's deep need. He called that your vocation. He meant, what do you love to do? What does the world need? When you find where those overlap, do that. Maybe you're already seeing the center of your 3 circles right away. Here's an example. Oh, I love being out in the woods. I value our interconnected web of existence, and I worry about the fragile ecosystem. I'm going to volunteer to clean up rivers and forests and hiking trails this year. But for most of us, finding that center in those 3 circles might take a while. It'll pop into your head later today or next week. A thought that connects these 3 circles. A thought that says, I can help the world in 2024 by living out this UU value by doing this thing that I already love. But don't rush it. let it compost. And now a science experiment. First, let's make sure my lavalier mic is working, yes? Yes. Great. Some of you may already know this one. This is big rocks, stones, and sand. Raise your hand if you've already done this. Okay, good. That means a lot of you don't. That's good. So, symbolism here. Big rocks are the most important things in my life, the things I value. Stones are work stuff, tasks, get it done stuff. Sand is TV. It's fun stuff that doesn't have anything to do with my values, but I end up filling up my time with it. So, not important, kind of important, values. So, this jar is me, symbolically. This is a day in my life, how I spend my time. And I've put a cloth here because the rocks make a lot of noise, but maybe it's also sleep, who knows? So, let's go through a day as I spend it. So I wake up and I read the sports section because I apparently care a lot about the Packers offensive line. And then I do Wordle. I'm going to be honest, I do a lot of Wordle. I do like Wordle too often. Okay, I spend a lot of time on Wordle. I do like to watch a little bit of TV at lunch if I can sneak it in. And I like to watch something funny before I go to bed every night. So usually I commit myself to an hour and a half. Okay, I should probably get to work at some point, right? So I work every day. Whoa, almost lost Thursday there. I work a couple nights a week, if I'm being honest. I'm even working on Sunday. Okay. Values. I'm a dad, right? So I'm going to value my family. And then I got my value for anti-racism, my interdependent web of existence, ecosystem values, free and fair elections. This is embarrassing. I think I did this wrong. What did I do wrong? I did something wrong. Let me try this again. I got an idea. Okay, we'll try again. Intern mistake. Okay. Let's start with my values, yeah? Okay, that seems symbolic. All right, so as I said, I'm a dad. Let's see, anti-racism, free and... Values take up a lot of space. Values require a lot of space. I'm only one person. I think I need to pick one other value besides being a dad this year. 2024, I'm going to say free and fair elections. That seems on point. Okay. I do go to work every day. And some days I shouldn't be working and I'm still working. Okay. And now let me just sneak in Wordle around the time I occupy. Yeah? That seems wiser. So much Wordle. Okay. All right. I think we got it. All right. Yeah, and TV. Always. I can value a lot of things as super important, but realistically, I can only commit to living out one or two in any given year. The funny thing about New Year's Eve is that a lot of us who are working have had a week off. Or if you're retired, you had a different kind of a week where you got to see lots of friends and family, yeah? This week off empties the jar. You don't have to do anything. It gives us a chance to look at the empty jar and say, you know, I didn't realize how much I enjoy spending time with family. Or, I'm so glad I got to take a walk today. Or, it's really nice to cook good food again. I should do more of this and less email. So we find ourselves on New Year's Eve saying, I need to reorder my jar next year. Just at that moment when we're about to make some sort of spiritual awareness, in come the commercials. You need a Peloton in 2024. Why don't you already speak Spanish? Get this YMCA membership for $0, right? And they come at you with ad after ad. They find you. They're advertising in my Wordle. There's nothing wrong with those activities. If you want to exercise, go exercise. If you want to learn Spanish, yeah, learn Spanish. That's awesome. The thing is, our jar is only so big. There's only so much energy you have in a day. And so as we get to this New Year's Eve and we start imagining new lives in 2024, it might mean you need to give up something that took up that hour. Maybe that's good. Maybe you were spending an hour on your phone getting mad at the news, and swapping in a walk with a friend every night is probably going to be better for you. But for most of us, most of the day is rocks, right? The stones, the work. And it feels like we're treading water. It doesn't take long into January for most of us to give up whatever we promised ourselves. That was our rested, on vacation, late December brain. That was not our January brain. So the question to ponder today for us all is, what do your values call you to do this year? Is it what the commercials throw at us? Could it be instead, how does my belief in the inherent worthiness of everyone show up in 2024? Could it be, how does justice, equity, and compassion show up in my relationships with others this year? We get some choice in how we spend our time, and values determine what goes in the jar first. Here's the thing. The big rock that you need in your jar next year might not have anything to do with doing more. It might be about taking care of yourself. The big change you or I may need next year is to claim a big old space for healing in that jar. If you're coming into 2024 with a scary new diagnosis, or a relationship that needs to end, or some grief, or some other painful or difficult thing, maybe the first and biggest rock you put in your jar for 2024 is compassion. That can look like therapy, or a meditation practice, or conversations with a friend every day. Usually, the jar we forget to put in the rock we forget to put in the jar is compassion. The rock we forget to put in the jar is compassion. In this season of new beginnings, of the sun's long and very slow return, of our trees doing their deep and pliable work, I invite us all to take time to reflect on what we value. You don't have to be anything. You don't have to be good. You don't have to be great at yoga or learn Spanish this year. You're already sufficient. But you do value some things, and we show that with our time, our effort, and our care. If you already knew that you were enough, that you deeply mattered to us, what would you resolve to do in 2024? I don't fault Peloton for trying to sell bikes. They exist to make a profit. They're living out their value. But you and I exist to love and be loved. And so, whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world calls itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. Be it resolved. All we control is how we react and how we recover. Therefore, go in pliability, adjusting with the seasons. Go in awareness, embracing opportunities for change. Go in compassion for yourself and others. For you are called to bring your great joy to the world's great need. So let your light shine. Will you please rise in body or spirit for our recessional hymn 118, This Little Light of Mine?